Hey everyone, Pratiti Pathak here. Welcome to Unpacking Brain Drama, where we talk about real life experiences, the challenges, and the obstacles. Sometimes we use them to block ourselves, sometimes we use them to grow and evolve. Here's what I want to say: obstacles are not the things blocking our path, obstacles are the path. So, in other words, we have to grow through what we go through. So, join me as we have some amazing conversations with some amazing guests. Last week we talked about the new year and coming into the new year and how so many times we talk about resolution. And last week I talked about considering using the word resolution. Instead of that, we decided that we're evolving to the next version of ourselves, evolving to the next version of ourselves, instead of looking at it as we are giving ourselves resolutions, which is more kind of in a way of saying that we want to take action to resolve things, that we're kind of telling ourselves that there's something about us that is broken. So what was really great to see is that I got so much feedback last week in person, on DMs, on text messaging, on how so many of you have never really looked at resolution in that way, meaning that it actually means to resolve. Obviously, when we talk about the word itself, people are like, yeah, it means to resolve something, but they weren't looking at it that way. For a New Year's resolution is to resolve, which indicates that there's a problem in a way that needs to be solved, or if you will, resolved. Get it? So, which I can totally relate to that, because anytime I've ever tried to change any habit of mine, like the amount of sugar I'm consuming, or one that I use an example of a lot is when I've tried to quit smoking. I can't tell you how many times I have tried to quit smoking. Let me see if I can get down here. And how many times I have not been able to, right? I can tell you for sure, I have tried to quit smoking all of the years that I was smoking, and not to mention every year. It was definitely one of my New Year's resolutions. Every single year was the number one thing that I wanted to work on every year, and it never worked. And I'll tell you why. It never worked because if you think about resolution meaning to resolve or to resolve, what you're basically telling your subconscious mind is that not only is there a problem, but more importantly, that there is a problem with me, right? You're telling yourself there's a problem with you. That in itself is the biggest problem. Right? It's saying that we're broken in some way, which of course leaves us feeling completely depleted. And then we wonder why we weren't able to accomplish the thing that we set out to do. And it's simple on why it didn't work, right? Because again, we made it mean that somehow we suck and couldn't even achieve the thing that we wanted for ourselves, right? Makes sense? If you guys are on this Facebook Live right now, which I'm going to try to see again, if I can see you guys, I'm not sure if I can, but I'm going to try it one more time. Yeah, I actually can. So if you guys are on this Facebook Live, let me see if I can minimize it a little bit. I want you to leave in the comments right now that I want you to leave in the comments if there's ever been a time where you've tried to set out something for yourself and you've tried a New Year's resolution and wasn't able to achieve it. Let me see if I can make this even smaller. If I can, that'd be great. It would be so much fun if they could let me make it a little bit smaller. Okay, so when I think about how many times I've tried to resolve for things and they didn't work, it makes sense, right? So it was only after I stopped making my smoking problem a problem with me and a problem about me, and just decided to no longer make it something about me. And I also decided that it no longer served me and it was no longer something that I needed. And only then was I able to just let it go. And I did it instantly, and I did it instantly, and I've never looked back. And when people tell me, and they tell me this all the time, that they couldn't even imagine me smoking and they don't see me as a smoker. And to be quite honest, I have to agree with them because I can't even imagine. And I also don't see myself as a smoker. It's so interesting to me that I actually smoked for such a long period of time, but don't even see myself that way because I don't identify myself that way. I don't consider myself a recovered smoker or a smoker that just hasn't used cigarettes in 30 years, or no, actually it's only been 9 years, but it's been 9.5 years, by the way. That's amazing. But I want to move on and get back to how do we look at making changes and why we're doing that, right? So here's what we're going to do. Number one, if you guys want to write this down, you can always watch the recording later, take notes. I'm offering you to, number one, see making changes in your life, hopefully for the purpose of self-improvement, right? Ways of evolving into a different version of yourself, right? Hopefully a better version. And I say it that way because, by the way, you are always evolving into a different version of yourself. Like that is happening, whether you realize it or not. And that is the key, is realizing it, right? And how we realize it is by doing it intentionally and deciding. That is the key topic of today's discussion, is making decisions. And how we realize how we're evolving is by doing it intentionally and deciding on what we're going to do in order for that evolvement to take place. So not just make a change, but why you're doing it, right? What is the benefit of this change and why is it so important to you? What else in your life will improve because of this change? If you go back to one of my other episodes, I talk about the power of questions because they're so important. And these questions are extremely important to making changes and understanding why we're doing it, right? That's number one. Number two, what did I say about how I quit smoking? I decided. Number two is decide. Make a decision to make the change, whether it's in your business, in your finances, your body, your health, your relationships, in your community, and how you contribute to the world. No matter what the change is that you're wanting to make, that part doesn't matter as much. You may think, well, what are you saying, Pratiti? That part doesn't matter as much as the part that whatever the change is that you're trying to make or see in yourself or your business or your relationships. You want more love in your life. You want more money in your pocket. I know that's right for me, right? I mean, I want it all, right? I'm sure you're all nodding your heads right now, or even saying it out loud, like, yes, I am with you, Pratiti. I also want it all. And if that is a hell yes for you, please go ahead and put that in the comments right now, because the key is to decide. Not tell yourself little lies like, I want to ... fill in the blank. It would be nice to ... fill in the blank. I'd love to fill in the blank, right? I know these sound like really pretty thoughts, right? But they are not working in your benefit. And they do not serve you. And I'll tell you why. They're super tricky. They just sound really pretty. But that's the way that they trick your mind, because they're not actually saying it in a definitive way. So hear me when I say this. Indirectly, what you're telling your brain in this tricky way is, it would be really nice, ... if I could, but I'm not sure that I can. I would love to, but I don't know how. I don't know if I know how to do that or if I know how I can. I want to, but I don't think that's for me. It's kind of like a tricky thought. You see what I'm saying? If that makes sense, say yes, right? Because that is the way that we don't decide. We kind of tell ourselves, oh, it would be nice if I have this, but if I don't get it, it's no big deal. I'll try again later, right? I don't know that that's exactly for me. I don't know if this is where I should be. So it is so important on how we talk to ourselves and the messaging that we give to ourselves. So is that the way that you want to talk to yourself? No. Make a decision. I'm deciding to ... fill in the blank. I'm making the decision. I've decided. That's how you actually want to talk to yourself. Okay. Number 3. So first, we're evolving. We're making a change for the next version of ourselves. Evolvement to a new and improved version of ourselves. Number 2, we're going to decide, and we're going to make that decision and not tell ourselves that it would just be nice to do it. Number 3, once you've decided, once you decide to make the change, I want you to ask yourself, go back to the powerful questions. I want you to ask yourself if making this change, whatever it is moving you toward your core values, or is it taking you away from them? I'm going to say it again. Is it moving you toward your core values, or is it moving you away from them? And this is really important. I know I'm going to say that for every single one because they're all important, but it's really important to understand. And if you're not clear on what your core values are, then that is your number 1 first step. That's the work that you need to do first. That's where you need to put your focus first. Put your focus there first. This is absolutely key to making decisions for yourself in any area of your life. Because if you don't know what your core values are and how to be in alignment with them, then decisions are going to be very challenging for you. And if you don't know what that looks like, and you don't know what they are, and you're not sure how to do the work or how to get there, please, people, send me a private DM. Put it in the comments. Reach out to me. I'm all of my information is out there publicly. Go to my website. Go anywhere. Jump onto a free 30-minute session. I will help you with that for free. Jump onto a call or a Zoom with me for 30 minutes, and you will be clear about your core values by the time you get off that call with me. I promise. So once you decide on the change that you want to make, see if it's moving you forward towards your core values or away from them. Now, notice how I used the plural. I didn't say towards a core value. It's towards your core values, meaning like in alignment with all of your core values, right? Not just one. And let me explain what that looks like. So I'm going to give you an example. And of course, I'm just going to use myself as the example. I'm an entrepreneur, and I network all the time and everywhere. I made this decision a few years ago. I decided I wanted to, network a lot. And I network in podcasting communities, in real estate communities, with other entrepreneurs. I'm in masterminds with my other coaches and many other areas of interest for me that I have. And when I do it, it usually starts off most of the time in, large groups, in meetings with large groups. And then once I get to hear what people have to say, then I decide who I want to, talk to, maybe one-on-one. And sometimes that looks like a Zoom room. Sometimes that looks like it's in person. So I made this decision, going back to my deciding and the core values and aligning in all of them. I made the decision to network a lot, right? And when I made that decision, it was in it was because it was in alignment with one of my core values for my business to grow my business exponentially and see what is possible for me and my business and how far I can grow and take it. Right now, that is also in alignment with one of my core values for what I want for myself as a human being, which is to see how much I can grow and expand my own mind in a way that literally blows my own mind, right? Because if you think about it, in order to grow my business exponentially, I would also have to grow my mind exponentially. So that is how my decision to network is in alignment with my core values for my business and for my mental and emotional growth for me personally as a human. So back to the one-on-one meeting, because this is going to go to other things that are they in alignment with me. So back to the one-on-one meeting, if it's a Zoom meeting, if it's a Zoom one-on-one, right? I'm on Zoom with you right now. When it's on Zoom, I'm in complete control of my environment, right? I get to control what I'm drinking. I get to control what I'm eating, or if I'm eating, or what other things are around me in my environment. I'm in control of that because it's my environment. Only I've created it. Make sense? Follow me. Now, that's usually the case if I was in a large Zoom room. Most likely those people are not local to me, so I'm probably going to do my one-on-ones on Zoom. Now, if I went to local networking and in person, then most likely I'm probably going to meet with the one-on-ones also in person, right? Unless we just don't have time. But outside of that, if I'm going to meet with them one-on-one, it probably is going to look like a coffee shop, a donut shop. Maybe we're going to meet for lunch. Maybe we're going to meet at happy hour. If it's somebody I've networked with quite a bit or somebody I collaborate with often, I might even meet them for dinner. I may even invite them over to my home and make dinner for them, right? So now I'm still in control of myself if I'm being aware and responsible and intentional about my environment. Now, some of you might know me personally. Once upon a time, I wasn't very intentional, and I have gotten myself in plenty and lots of trouble. So that is definitely another episode for another day. Make sure you stay tuned for that one. But make sure when you are doing things like this, as I am, make sure that you're aware of your environment and what other habits might creep in for you that you don't necessarily want, or that aren't in alignment with one of your core values for maybe your health and the health of your body, right? In that case, then you have to make sure that you have a plan. Make a plan on how you're going to be handling yourself in this environment, right? Especially if it's something that could be challenging for you. So maybe you don't meet at a donut shop if you know you're not strong enough to handle the cravings of sweets in the morning, right? If you're trying to lose weight or get into a healthier body, like me, I have osteoarthritis. I always want to get into a pain-free body, right? I'm not there yet. Much better, but not there yet. Then you may want to maybe not have your meeting in a donut shop. Maybe you want to have it in a healthy market. Or if you're like me and you don't eat breakfast, maybe a coffee shop's just fine. And it's great. So once again, let's go back. Number one, you're making changes in your life for self-improvement to evolve to a different version, a better version of yourself, just because you want to, not because you have to, but because you want this, right? And then number two is making the decision, deciding to make the change and knowing why you're making that decision. Number three, be aware of what this new change is it moving you, and is it moving you toward your core values or away from them? And look at the big picture. So I want you to see your change that you're making, and I want you to see it kind of like in an aerial view, right, of this new change. And where am I? So I want you to see this as an aerial view of this new change and make sure it's moving you toward and is in alignment with your core values. And if it is not, and it doesn't, then you either have to decide whether you want to change, whether the change is important enough to create the right boundaries or to address the areas that might be challenging and necessary to take a look at. So keep that in mind. Okay. And number 4, and this is the final one, and this is also extremely very important to whether the decision or the change or the achievement, the goal, the accomplishment, whatever the goal is here, whatever it is you're trying to change in your life, make sure that you, number 4, do not, I emphasize, do not put too much pressure on yourself. Learn how to be a little patient, a little kind, compassionate, and gentle with yourself, because anytime we're trying to make changes, we tend to want the results too quickly, right? We want this instant gratification. And it makes sense, of course, right? Because if you think about it, the things that we're trying to change in our life, whether it's relationships, more communication with family members, more intimacy, business growth, financial security, whatever these things are, you know, mental, emotional health, physical health, you know, maybe we want to do more out in society, in our community, for causes that we care about. Whatever it is, I want us to make sure that we remember that, of course, we want these things right away because they're important to us. We're passionate about them. We wouldn't want to make the change if it wasn't that important to us, right? That's number 1. Some things maybe, but even if it's a hobby that you want to start, it's obviously something that is a desire for you. So when we desire things, we want them, and most of the time we just want them now. But I want us to remember one of the quotes that has been said by Bill Gates, and other people have also repeated it, including myself. And what he has said is most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year, and most often they underestimate what they can accomplish in 10 years. Now, I say it a little bit differently. I usually say what we can do in 3 years, because I think 3 years is a really good marker, because it's one that's not so far out into our vision that we can't really grasp what that looks like a whole 10 years. But usually we overestimate what we could accomplish in 1 year, right? We want to lose 100 pounds in a year. Well, maybe we lose 100 pounds in 3 years. It takes the pressure off of the need to punish yourself and get into this grueling grind on this overwhelming constant punishment, right? Because when we want to start a new practice or a new habit, or we want to change something, we almost act as if we shouldn't have any setbacks. We act as if we shouldn't be making any mistakes, and that we should be able to just make the decision to do something different and then only move forward. It doesn't work like that, right? We're going to have failures along the way. We're going to have obstacles. We're going to have setbacks. Creating strategies around that, planning for the obstacles, planning for the setbacks, becoming prepared for the different things that may come up, blocking your path, and then figuring out how you're going to get on the other side of it. Because we can accomplish so much when we give ourselves that time frame to do it. Then we can just give ourselves a steady pace to get into, and things aren't punishing, right? When we're trying to accomplish things that we don't have, we tend to get into a place of lack and scarcity and want, and I don't have it and I need it. That's a lot of negative energy, number 1, to be putting out there in the universe, which just puts more and more obstacles in your way. I'll give you a quick example. Did you ever like wake up late, your alarm went off late and you're like, oh shit, I'm late? That's when you stub your toe, you spill your coffee on your clothes, you know, can't get your hair to go right. It's when you start this snowball effect of negative things coming your way because you're putting out all this negative energy. So you can't just relax and focus on what you have to get done in a positive way. That's a huge part of it. Again, if these are some of the concepts that I'm talking about, or if there's some things that you don't really grasp and you're not sure and not clear about, shoot me a message. I can even answer them back in a message. So just let me know if there's some clarity that you guys want. And of course, let me know when there's topics that you want covered. But I think that when we focus more on accomplishing something in just a little longer period of a time, it allows us to relax into it. Right? It allows us to feel confident that we can get something done because it gives us time to research. It gives us time to practice. It gives us time to make mistakes. It gives us time to fall the heck down and stand back up again. Because sometimes it takes longer to stand up. And not to mention, when you're trying to make really great changes in your life, it doesn't mean like the rest of life doesn't continue to happen, right? I had really great big plans and COVID took place, as I'm sure millions of other people did too, right? There's lots of times you just start a new career and you're having a baby. There's different things that happen in your life. Right? Obstacles that continue to show up. One of the biggest ones for me that completely derailed me out of anything I've ever wanted to do was losing my child. That was one that took many years, not to get over or get past, but to just get a handle on and just be able to find some peace, find some still purpose in my own life around it. So babies out there, my lovelies, my beautiful people in the world, I love you guys. If you need help with any of this, please reach out to me. It's Results by Design Coaching. I'm also Keller Williams real estate agent in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Give me a call, shoot me an email, send me a DM, text me, whatever you have to do to stalk me on all the social medias. I'm here for you anytime you ever need help. And I hope this was super helpful. And again, if you like what you're seeing, if you like what you're hearing, whether it's on the recording, whether it's on the podcast episode, please comment, share, click the like button, like my page. And I will love to just keep doing this for you guys because it is my absolute pleasure and my privilege to be here with you guys. Have a beautiful rest of your week and I love you guys. Enjoy the rest of your week and the rest of your day. Go be productive, but don't beat yourselves up. Thank you for listening to Unpacking Brain Drama podcast. You'll find links for all the things mentioned below in the show notes. And it would be incredibly awesome if you would take a quick moment to leave a review on iTunes or wherever you listen. If you'd like to be considered as a guest on our podcast, be sure to go to www.resultsbydesigncoaching.com for a free 30-minute coaching session. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.